Hi, this is Colin Sandberg with Backbone Performance and the Endurance Collective. Welcome to my garage. It's a Monday morning. I'm about to do a recovery spin on my rollers here, and I'm just going to take you through a couple things in my indoor setup, show you my rollers, show you how I get it done. Here's my rollers. It's actually about a 15-year-old set of Kreitler rollers, but they really have not changed their design much. So that's why rollers, and Kreitler rollers in particular, hold their value so much. Really good for whenever you want to do an easy spin or a warm-up or anything that might involve some higher leg speed but lower power. Now, if you're in the market for a set of rollers, one thing you'll want to look at is the diameter of these rollers here. This is sort of in the middle. I think these are 3 inches, but they sell really narrow ones and they sell big ones. The big ones are going to have almost no resistance, and the little ones will have a little bit more. Now you can attach a headwind, it's called a headwind unit, up on the front that will act as a fan, and it'll also provide some additional resistance. But you know, I would say for me, 99% of the time I use my Smart Trainer here, which is a version of it's actually the Chinese version of a Wahoo Kicker Core. But I really like the rollers for recovery rides, for sort of fast cadence workouts. I even do some one-legged drills on them, and I like them for warm-ups and cool-downs from races. So the way I've got my indoor setup here, I've actually got 2 TVs here. Top one I primarily use for Zwift. Bottom one I use for entertainment, watching shows, watching movies while I'm doing my workouts. But what I'll show you here is you can actually connect via Zwift even when I'm on my rollers. Of course, to get the full Zwift experience, I think it is much better with a Smart Trainer. But I like to have Zwift running for any indoor workouts I do, even on the rollers, because I like to keep leveling up, get my points, and it gives you something extra to look at. Even though these are not smart in this, the rollers are a dumb trainer in the sense that we think of smart trainers versus dumb trainers. This is not good. The Zwift is not going to control the resistance. I'm really just controlling the resistance, excuse me, controlling the speed that I'm traveling on Zwift based on, oh, my startup disc is full. I'll just say, okay. So my speed in Zwift is just going to be determined by the power I'm putting out, which is not coming off the trainer in this case, or my bike. It's just a calculated power. It's called Zwift power. It's called, yeah, I think Zwift power. Not exactly very accurate, but you know, I'm not using it for races or anything. I'm just using it to ride around in Zwift when I use the roller. So I'm going to click on here, search for a speed sensor, and let's get my bike rolling here. Okay, so there we go, unlisted rollers, and should have cadence sensor on here, heart rate, strap, whoops, ticker, I want this one, Ant Plus, and we'll go. Whoops. Okay, so don't really care about where I ride today. Let's ride in Richmond today. And pull that up. So as soon as I start on the rollers, I'll be rolling around in Zwift. Let me just show you a quick couple other things about my setup here. I've got 2 fans, as you might see. This one's a little less powerful, and I've got this next to the window to bring in some fresh air. And I've got a more powerful fan here. This is a Max Air fan. I think I got this off of Amazon. You really want to make sure you have a powerful fan in your indoor trainer setup. I'd say 99% of the time when people say that they can't produce the power indoors that they can outdoors, it's because they're overheating. Most of the heat that you generate when you're exercising is dissipated via convection or airflow. If you're riding outside 18 to 25 miles per hour, that's a lot of airflow. You need to simulate that the best you can indoors. So you need a strong fan. One box fan is not going to cut it. What I would suggest is search on a high velocity fan. I think these will cost a little bit more. This was about $50 or $60. You can go really serious, get a full industrial fan. I would say if I rode more indoors, I'd probably get another fan and maybe even a dehumidifier and an air conditioner in here in the summer. The temperature isn't out of control in the winter, especially if I've got the window open, bringing in fresh air. But in the summertime, it can get a little warm here. And then I've got my stereo set up here. This is actually the only place in the house I can watch movies at their intended volume. I've got some speakers in the corner, nothing fancy, but it's a little surround sound system. Can't normally watch movies at their full volume indoors in the house, so this is where I watch my guy movies. And that's about it. I've got a little table here set up just to help rest stuff on that I might need, remote controls, fan controls, my phone, and so forth. And when I'm getting started on the rollers, I'll put my hand on that to get started. All right, so getting onto the rollers, I'm just gonna throw my leg over and then move the bike up onto the rollers, flip one side in, balance on this side, flip in, and just start pedaling. For those of you who aren't used to running rollers, this might take a while when you first get started. A couple of tips are that the more speed you have, the faster you're going, the more stable you'll be. When you first start out, you'll find yourself looking straight down at the rollers quite a bit. And as time goes on, you get more comfortable with it. You can start looking ahead, which will actually help steady you. Main thing here is remain calm. If you ride off the rollers, it's usually no big deal. Done it a bunch of times. Never really hurt myself. I've messed up my floor a couple times, riding on the no-linen floor in the kitchen. Lost a security deposit once of an apartment I rented. That's a whole nother story. But if you ride off to the side of the rollers, not a big deal. You put a foot down, you'll get used to it. But you will generally have more stability the faster you're going. And on these rollers, let's see, let's shift it. I'm going to shift into the 5211. And bring it up to 90 RPM here. So I'm only going at about 250 watts right now at 90 RPM. Bring it down. So not a whole lot of resistance. If I really want to do high intensity intervals on these, I'm going to have a very, very high RPM. That's why I like to do those either outdoors or on the smart trainer. Like I said before, these are really good for recovery rides and stuff. The other thing about rollers that's nice is since you have to balance on them, it sort of forces you to pedal a little bit more evenly and engage your core a little bit more. So good to practice. What I would like to do sometimes, again, this might take a little bit of practice for those of you who are new to riding rollers, but just take my hands off the bars, and as you can't really see here, but you think about how you're sitting on the saddle, and it's almost like put my hands above my head, do some stretching, take my hands off the bars for about 30 seconds, reach up, just gotta breathe, relax, try to have awareness of your body, you know, all the stuff you would learn at a yoga class, but on the bike adds another dimension of skill and body awareness. So once again, I like to use my rollers for these recovery rides, for warm-ups and cool-downs for races, because I don't want to have usually a lot of high-powered stuff that's going to fatigue me. I just want to start sweating. And I use them for technique workouts, fast cadence, one-legged drills, that sort of stuff. Another thing you'll notice, I'm wearing a long sleeve jersey. It's actually new kit day from Endurance Collective, but I'm going to take this off since I'm warming up right now. Just going to wear base layer over my bibs. And I'm going to turn on the fans here. So if you learned something, please put your questions or comments, if they're nice, in the comments there. See you later.